Adam Blair. I'm the executive editor of Retail Touchpoints. I'm here with Chris Riegel, the CEO of StrataCache at NRF 2018, big show on January 15th. Welcome, Chris.
Good morning.
Great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I wanted to talk a little bit about StrataCache, but also in general about how retailers are able, what some of the challenges they face in terms of customer data and gathering customer data, especially in the store environment.
So I think it's a pretty pervasive theme this year on the floor that retailers are really understanding the threat of the Amazons and Googles into this space. And the big differentiator is certainly that an Amazon or a Google have much deeper data sets to work with than most of the fixed retailers that you see here walking the floor. I think one of the things that we tried to do is to help retailers gather more information about their consumer, impact and build a better experience. If I'm a consumer buying a commodity product and I can order it online, there's no reason for me to go to the store to get that. What can I do to enrich the data set around a consumer, give that retailer more information about how to serve that consumer better, and make that retail experience more pleasurable or faster or more efficient. A fixed retailer is not going to beat an e-com retailer in cost or in convenience. So how do I make that a better experience? How do I make that an easier experience? How do I help solve problems in that environment?
All right, and people are probably aware of this, but that deeper data set that Amazon and Google have access to, what are the kinds of things that it allows them to do as retailers?
So I think what it really allows them to do is to bring relevance into that discussion. You might be shopping for a part at an auto parts store, as an example. An Amazon or Google know the car you drive, the vehicle, the year, the make, the model. There's no reason to waste a customer's time in not having that information or knowing that information to target them better and more relevant. You might not even have a car, so why do I then take that opportunity to try to pitch you on a product that's not applicable? The more I know about the consumer, hey, yes, you might have young children, you might have car X or Y or Z. What are the points that I can build profiles or personas around those consumers and then tie relevance into that messaging? If you remember the Tom Cruise Minority Report example of, as I'm walking through an environment, the ads are changing to tailor towards me. Because of privacy, you'll never have that level of precision of identifying a unique consumer that way, but a persona-based campaign, I can drive relevance to a message that would target a consumer in that retail environment.
So for a persona, it might be suburban dad with kids, or young single, or any number of different kinds of personas that are useful to a retailer.
Exactly right, and there may be in a let's take a retail auto environment, I might have a device in the parking lot that senses the car that you drive, and I'm associating that car with your particular mobile device. So I want to go in, I need to buy a new oil or air filter. I don't have to look through the old phone book that's half ripped up and stained with God only knows what. I know that car, I know that model, I know what parts are applicable, and I can move that consumer through that experience faster. Where can I serve that customer better and make that a more frictionless environment for the consumer?
And I understand it's also, you're talking about both in-store, a lot of different types of devices, maybe it might be digital signage or some other points of interaction, and it might also be different ways to contact the customer or be in touch with the customer. Can you go through some of those?
Yeah, so I could use the example to say if I'm in a big box environment and I'm dwelling in the baby department, it's a pretty good indication that if you're dwelling in the baby department, then you might have a young child at home. I can then identify that mobile device and then retarget that consumer outside of the store. So retrafficking ads through an Adobe or a Google to say, hey, I might want to come into the Walmart or the Kroger because I know you have a young child. Here are products that are more tiered towards you. Now retailers have that information as it goes to checkout because they can associate loyalty with a particular transaction, but not necessarily interest. Where did you spend your time in store? What was your journey? What were the important points? What are the points that I can know you better to serve you better or drive more relevant offers and incentives to drive you into my store? The deeper that relationship can be, if you think about an Amazon environment, I know what you search for, here are other things that might be of interest to you. We have to bring that level of data intelligence into the retailer and consumer interaction in a fixed retail store as well.
And it's interesting that you mentioned the amount of time and the journey that you spend. I mean, in an e-commerce environment, that's all part of the calculation.
Right.
But in a physical store environment, that's been less easy to track and to feed into the analysis. So you might go through 5 different departments, but you're going to spend 8 minutes in a specific one. That means you have some interest there, or you didn't find what you were looking for.
When you have this great opportunity where retailers are deploying Wi-Fi in the stores. With Wi-Fi in the stores, it's for their scanners and for other utilitarian points. But most people don't think of Wi-Fi as a marketing tool. That marketing tool can be, where were you on your journey throughout that store? Where did you spend time? It can also be a service abandon recapture point. So I waited for a pharmacy at the pharmacy order to be fulfilled for 10 minutes at the window, and then I abandoned. I walked away.
Right.
I waited in this sector and I couldn't find any service. Is there an opportunity to recontact that customer and say, hey, we might not have excelled in our service to you today. How can we help you with our online or other assets?
Right.
So there's a huge customer service point to that as well.
That's fascinating.
Both on the customers and then also the associates. Is my checkout staffed appropriately? Am I getting long queue lines? Do I have the right people in the right areas of the store to serve that customer better? So the retailer getting insight to what are my staff and my partners in that environment doing to serve that customer better?
Are retailers' stores set up sufficiently to do that? Do they have the Wi-Fi coverage? Do they have the networking? And if not, what might be the first thing they would need to do to move in that direction?
Typically, most have the Wi-Fi. It's almost a standard use case for most retailers of scale today. With that Wi-Fi, then the software to be able to track that consumer is a product that we do, a product that others do, that I just then dig that intelligence. There's always these silos that you get in retail between information technology teams and marketing teams, where Wi-Fi went in for IT and operations, which is great, but marketing doesn't know what that Wi-Fi capability can do. It kind of opens up all these new windows.
Right.
And then if I have things like visual display, as I'm walking through that store, hey, you might be looking for a new TV because you were searching for that online. Can I try to move you over from the grocery section of the big box to the TV department, electronics? Hey, I've got a really good special on TVs today.
Right.
By being able to mine data around your online presence and build that persona, you may be in the market for product X or Y or Z, and then retargeting that when you're physically in store to trigger that discussion.
Well, certainly that's been the goal, to be able to link or meld the online and the offline.
It's a holy grail point, and in the Amazons and the Googles of the world, they're doing that type of association. In a fixed retailer, big box grocer, specialty, whatever it might be, I need to pull that same level of data in to give you a fair fighting chance in that environment. Very candidly, when you're fighting the richest man in the world with a ton of data, it's a hard fight. There's no retailer that's oblivious to that point. But if you pull that data in, you have the stores, you have the proximity, you have the immediacy. Now let's change that dialogue with the consumer.
I was reminded, I went to a presentation last night and reminded Walmart has stores that are within 90% of the US population, 10 miles. So I mean, and obviously that's just Walmart, but that applies to the physical retailers of the world. And they have some levels of loyalty with customers as well.
And if I'm in that environment where a commoditized product, whether it be detergent or eggs or whatever, I can buy the same product in any of 10 different retailers that are proximate to that. It's going to become more and more about the experience, the speed, the consumer's time, her time during that journey. How do I make it more efficient for her, more useful for her? How do I integrate that experience into her life better and serve her better in that? The quality of that experience, everything from the time through the cleanliness of the store to the staffing and to the availability, I want to take friction out of that environment by serving that customer better, giving them more relevant information, or helping them on that journey.
Gotcha. All right. We've been hearing a lot about new technologies that have already made their debut, but seem to be accelerating in 2018. Voice search, more use of artificial intelligence and machine learning. Are those things that physical retailers can start to take advantage of as well? Because certainly Amazon is trying to get ahead in the voice search area, and maybe even AI as well.
Yeah, I think there's a huge opportunity for AI. AI to help automate store operations.
Oh, okay.
To automate inventory availability and automate points of touch to that consumer. That's accessible today. AI does not have to be this boil the ocean. We're going to, doesn't have to be Watson.
Right.
For example.
Doesn't have to be competing on Jeopardy, exactly.
Right. Well, but can I simply, as an example, put sensors at the checkout that if I detect a queue that's longer than 3 minutes, I'm automatically triggering a dispatch to 80 cashiers in that store, hey, I need you at the checkout. There are lots of very good points for AI that can be very simple execution points, but immediately start to change that experience for the customer. Then as you're getting algorithmically into, well, if you're interested in this online, I pull that to the in-store experience, that relevance triggering of AI as well can be very low-hanging fruit for retail.
All right. And in terms of StrataCache specifically, what do you see as your companies and your technology's role in some of these different areas we've been discussing?
Yeah, for us it's really pairing the online identity with the in-store identity, and then driving an action, whether that's through a digital sign, a tablet, a mobile device. How can I help that customer through that journey and give them a targeted point of information, a coupon, an incentive, something to drive an action. And all we have to do, and we serve 7 of the 10 largest retailers in the world, all I have to do is have a slight incremental benefit to that retailer across the millions of transactions they do per day, where we have a tremendous ROI. Plus, at the technology side, as I think all retailers are facing, wage increase. Technology and automation drives a better experience in many cases and a lower cost to execute, a more consistent experience. So the migration of digital technology onto the store floor is a big trend that we capitalize on.
Okay, and just one last question, what are you hoping to see or find out about here at NRF 2018?
I think for us it's really about taking the pulse of retail. Last year it was kind of a down year for retail. You saw a lot of concern coming into the show floor. This year with retail being up, I think it's now what I'd say survival of the fittest or Darwinian law. The strong will get stronger, the weak will start to move out of the marketplace. And everyone is trying to align to say, how do we not only tie a stronger online strategy, but a stronger online strategy into that store? What's the real play? And I think that's the common thread of the show.
Great. Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for taking some time to talk with me, and I'm sure the people viewing this appreciate it as well.
Excellent.
I hope you have a great NRF and a great 2018.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.